When we conjure an image of the Ice Age, few creatures loom larger in our collective imagination than the saber-toothed tiger. Its name alone evokes visions of a fearsome predator, stalking the frozen wilds with silent, lethal intent. Yet, beneath this familiar label lies a profound case of mistaken identity, one that has shaped our understanding of this animal for generations. We often imagine a striped, tiger-like beast, its powerful form blending seamlessly with the snow-dusted undergrowth, as if it were a direct ancestor of the modern tigers that prowl Asia's forests today. This vision, though captivating, is a product of artistic license and scientific misunderstanding. For decades, museum dioramas and illustrated books have reinforced this image, presenting the saber-tooth as a prehistoric tiger, complete with bold stripes and feline grace. These displays, while visually striking, have inadvertently perpetuated a myth that obscures the animal's true nature. The reality is far more intriguing. Smilodon fatalis, the most iconic of the so-called saber-toothed tigers, was not a tiger at all. Its lineage is a testament to the complexity and unpredictability of evolution. Smilodon's ancestors diverged from those of all living cats, including lions, leopards, and tigers, over 20 million years ago. This ancient split set them on a path that would lead to a creature unlike anything alive today. Rather than being a direct ancestor, Smilodon is a distant cousin, an evolutionary experiment in predation. Its saber-like canines and robust build are the result of convergent evolution, where unrelated species independently evolve similar adaptations to meet comparable challenges. The term saber-toothed tiger is a convenient shorthand, but it is deeply misleading. It suggests a kinship that simply does not exist and masks the animal's true evolutionary heritage. While Smilodon's saber-like teeth are its most recognizable feature, the similarities to tigers end there. Its skull, jaw, and musculature reveal a predator built for a very different style of hunting. True tigers, members of the genus Panthera, have a long evolutionary history rooted in the forests and grasslands of the Old World. Their story is separate and distinct from that of the saber-toothed cats. Smilodon belonged to the now extinct subfamily Machaerodontinae, a group that produced a dazzling array of saber-toothed predators, each uniquely adapted to their environments. These cats thrived on multiple continents, evolving into forms both familiar and bizarre, and dominating their ecosystems for millions of years. To call Smilodon a tiger is as inaccurate as calling a dolphin a shark, simply because both are streamlined aquatic hunters. The resemblance is superficial, not genetic. Recognizing this distinction is essential for understanding Smilodon's unique biology, its hunting strategies, and its place in the ancient world. Popular depictions often show Smilodon as a swift, agile predator mirroring the elegance of modern tigers. But this is a fundamental misreading of its anatomy and lifestyle. Detailed studies of Smilodon's skeleton reveal a creature built for power, not speed. Its frame was compact, its limbs thick and muscular, designed for grappling rather than chasing. Smilodon was an ambush predator, relying on stealth and sudden bursts of strength to subdue its prey, rather than long pursuits across open ground. Its proportions were closer to those of a bear or a hyena, stocky, robust, and immensely powerful than to any living big cat. With a thick neck, broad chest, and forelimbs built for wrestling giant prey to the ground, Smilodon was a master of close-quarters combat. Its hunting strategy was one of overwhelming force, using its immense strength to immobilize prey before delivering a precise, fatal bite with its saber-like teeth. For generations, our perception of Smilodon has been shaped by outdated reconstructions and persistent myths, obscuring the true nature of this remarkable predator. To truly appreciate Smilodon, we must discard the tiger's stripes and see it as it was, a singular product of its time, with adaptations found nowhere else in the animal kingdom. Smilodon was perfectly suited to a world of giants where survival depended on raw power and specialized tactics, not on speed or stealth alone. By unraveling these misconceptions, we can finally begin to reconstruct the authentic story of Smilodon, a story of evolutionary innovation, ecological mastery, and a legacy that endures long after the last saber-tooth vanished from the earth. The skeleton of Smilodon fatalis is a masterwork of evolutionary engineering, each bone a testament to the demands of a life spent in the shadows, poised for sudden violence. Its fossilized remains reveal not just the shape of a predator, but the very blueprint of ambush itself, where every anatomical feature is honed for explosive power, precision, and control. Unlike the cheetah, whose spine flexes and extends like a whip to maximize stride length and speed, Smilodon's vertebral column is a study in rigidity. Its back is straight, reinforced by thickened vertebrae and robust ligaments, sacrificing flexibility for a platform of unyielding strength. This inflexible spine acts as a stabilizing beam, bracing the animal against the violent resistance of prey many times its own size. The vertebrae interlock tightly, minimizing lateral movement and allowing Smilodon to anchor itself during the chaos of a takedown. Its tail, reduced to a compact bob, is a stark departure from the long, whip-like tails of pursuit predators. This truncated appendage is composed of thick, fused vertebrae, providing little in the way of counterbalance but adding to the animal's overall solidity. The absence of a balancing tail is a signature of an ambush specialist, one that relies on sudden, close-range attacks rather than the acrobatics of a chase. Every aspect of Smilodon's posture, from its crouched stance to the splayed arrangement of its limbs, is optimized for concealment and the rapid generation of force. The animal's low profile and compact build allowed it to remain hidden until the final decisive moment. The forelimbs are the true engines of its predatory arsenal. Massive, thick-boned, and deeply grooved for muscle attachment, they dwarf those of any living feline. Compared to the lion, Smilodon's humerus and radius are not only larger, but shaped to resist torsion and bending. The cross-sectional area of these bones suggests an animal capable of exerting immense downward force, pinning even the most formidable prey. The scapula is broad and deeply scored, its surface pitted with the scars of massive muscle attachments. The deltoid crest and the olecranon process are exaggerated, providing leverage for muscles that would have bulged beneath the skin, driving the forelimbs with crushing force. With these limbs, Smilodon could seize prey in a vice-like grip, its claws locking into flesh and bone. The animal's shoulders, reinforced by thickened clavicles and a robust pectoral girdle, acted as shock absorbers, distributing the impact of struggle through the entire frame. This initial subjugation was not merely a prelude, but a necessity. Only once the prey was immobilized could Smilodon deploy its most iconic weapons, elongated canines, as delicate as they were deadly, designed for a single precise killing stroke. Smilodon was a brawler in every sense, its anatomy a catalogue of adaptations for grappling, overpowering and dispatching prey in brutal close quarters. The body is compact, barrel-chested and densely muscled. The rib cage is deep, providing ample space for the attachment of powerful forelimb and neck muscles, while the pelvis is broad and sturdy, anchoring the animal during the struggle. Though shorter at the shoulder than a modern lion, a large male Smilodon could tip the scales at over 600 pounds. This mass was not distributed for speed but for leverage and inertia, every pound a tool for subduing prey. Its stance was wide, its limbs splayed for maximum stability. The low center of gravity transformed Smilodon into a living anchor, nearly impossible to dislodge once it had committed to an attack. This anatomical fortress was designed to grapple with giants, juvenile mammoths, ground sloths, and bison, each a mountain of muscle and bone. Smilodon's entire frame was a grappling hook, engineered to latch onto and immobilize these titans of the Ice Age. The silhouette that emerges is not that of a sleek feline, but a brute, low-slung, broad-shouldered, and packed with raw, functional muscle. Every adaptation, from the reinforced skull to the shortened lumbar region, speaks to a predator that mastered the art of ambush, thriving in the dense forests and tangled undergrowth of Pleistocene America. Smilodon was a specialist, its anatomy tailored to the pursuit and conquest of megafauna. Its world was one of giants, and it rose to the challenge with a physique built for wrestling monsters to the ground. Unlike the lion, which relies on endurance and teamwork, Smilodon was a solitary tactician. It crept through tall grass and dense brush, muscles coiled, senses sharpened, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash a devastating short-range assault. The attack itself was a study in biomechanics, an eruption of force, precision, and anatomical synergy. Forelimbs shot forward, claws extended, jaws agape, the entire body working in concert to deliver a fatal blow. The goal was not pursuit, but instant domination, using every ounce of muscle, every inch of bone, to subdue prey in a single, overwhelming moment. In the silent halls of museums, Smilodon's bones still whisper the secrets of its violent, ambush-driven existence, a legacy of anatomical innovation perfectly tuned to the art of the sudden kill. The most iconic feature of Smilodon, its extraordinary 7-inch canines, were not crude tools of brute force, but rather the evolutionary equivalent of surgical scalpels, engineered for a singular, lethal purpose. Despite their intimidating length, these sabers were astonishingly fragile, their enamel and dentin structure optimized for sharpness rather than durability. The canines were laterally compressed, flattened like blades, creating a razor-thin edge capable of slicing through flesh with minimal resistance, but leaving them vulnerable to any sideways force. This unique morphology meant the teeth could withstand immense pressure only in a precise vertical stabbing motion. Any deviation, any twisting or lateral impact risked catastrophic breakage. For Smilodon, a single miscalculated bite could shatter a canine, rendering the animal unable to hunt and dooming it to starvation. The stakes for precision were absolute. Unlike the robust, bone-crushing jaws of hyenas, Smilodon's jaws were built for finesse. The bite force was modest, incapable of cracking bone, but perfectly suited for its specialized function. To wield these delicate sabers, Smilodon evolved a jaw of remarkable architecture, hinged and reinforced to allow an unprecedented range of motion. Its gape could reach nearly 120 degrees, a feat unmatched by any living feline. This adaptation was not for consuming large chunks of meat, but to clear the lower jaw from the path of the descending canines. The mechanics of this gape were precise. Ligaments and musculature coordinated to retract the lower jaw, exposing the full length of the sabers for a clean, unobstructed strike. Only with the mouth fully agape could the canines be deployed, poised for a single, devastating plunge. Biomechanical analysis reveals that Smilodon's bite force was less than a lion's, a counterintuitive trait for such a formidable predator. The jaws themselves were not the primary source of killing power. Instead, the true engine of lethality lay in the animal's neck and shoulders. These muscles were hypertrophied, forming a living battering ram to drive the head downward. Smilodon's forelimbs, robust and heavily muscled, acted as grappling hooks, anchoring the prey and neutralizing any movement that could threaten the fragile canines. The hunt was a display of anatomical synergy. The forelimbs immobilized, the neck muscles tensed, and the jaws opened to their maximum extent, all in preparation for the final act. The killing blow was not a conventional bite, but a meticulously targeted downward thrust of the entire skull, powered by the neck and shoulders. In a fraction of a second, the sabers pierced the prey's throat, slicing through skin, muscle, and vital vessels with surgical precision. The objective was anatomical: to sever the trachea, jugular vein, and carotid artery in a single fluid motion, ensuring rapid exsanguination and asphyxiation. This method reconciles the paradox of Smilodon's delicate teeth and its immense killing power. Every aspect of its anatomy was fine-tuned for this one precise maneuver. The entire predatory strategy revolved around engineering the perfect scenario for this lethal strike, minimizing risk, maximizing efficiency. The forelimb's strength was not just for overpowering prey, but for absolute immobilization, preventing any movement that could compromise the saber's integrity. The jaw's extreme gape and the neck's explosive power worked in concert, transforming the head into a living spear. Smilodon's kill sequence was a two-phase operation. First, overwhelming force to subdue and immobilize, then a swift, anatomically precise strike to end the hunt. In this way, Smilodon was not merely a predator, but a masterwork of evolutionary engineering, a living precision instrument, unrivaled in its specialization and efficiency. For generations, the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis, was cast as a solitary phantom, stalking the ancient grasslands in silence, its massive fangs glinting in the mist. But the truth, revealed by the silent testimony of their fossilized remains, is far richer and more complex. Across the ancient plains, the bones of Smilodon do not lie alone. Instead, they are found in dense clusters, their skeletons intertwined in the fossil beds, a testament to lives lived not in isolation, but in the company of others. These groupings are not random. They are the echoes of a vanished social world. The fossil record reveals a tapestry of interaction. Adults, subadults, and cubs preserved together, their remains layered in the asphaltic embrace of the tar pits. Here, the evidence of social bonds is written in bone and stone, not in fleeting tracks or ephemeral fur. Among these remains, the most compelling clues are the injuries: shattered limbs, crushed pelvises, and joints twisted by arthritis. These were not the wounds of a brief struggle, but the marks of catastrophic trauma, injuries that would have left a solitary predator helpless, unable to hunt or defend itself. Yet the bones tell a story of survival. Fractures have healed, joints have fused, and shattered limbs show signs of regrowth. These Smilodon did not simply linger for days or weeks. They endured for months, even years after their injuries. Such endurance would have been impossible without the support of others. Imagine a crippled saber-tooth, its forelimb withered and useless, its hip deformed beyond repair. Alone, it would have starved within days. But in the company of kin, it found protection and sustenance. The pride would have shared their kills, allowing the injured to feed, to rest, and to heal. Scenes of social care unfold in the fossil record. A pride gathered around a wounded member, grooming and nuzzling, reinforcing bonds through touch and presence. Cubs play among the adults, learning the skills of the hunt, while elders rest in the shade, their injuries tended by the group. This level of cooperation is not mere speculation. The healed bones are irrefutable evidence of a social contract, one in which the strong support the weak, and the group ensures the survival of its most vulnerable members. The advantages of such a structure are profound. In coordinated hunts, Smilodon prides could encircle and isolate the largest prey, bison, camels, even the colossal ground sloths that roamed the Ice Age steppe. Working together, they could bring down giants that no single cat could hope to subdue. The pride's unity extended beyond the hunt. During times of scarcity, food would be shared, and the old or injured would not be abandoned. Social grooming, play, and mutual defense would have strengthened the bonds that held the group together, ensuring resilience in the face of adversity. Even in death, the social nature of Smilodon is revealed. The tar pits, ancient traps set by nature, ensnared not just individuals, but entire groups. When one member became trapped, its distress calls likely summoned others, kin, companions, perhaps even cubs, who, driven by loyalty or hunger, became victims themselves. Their clustered remains are a fossilized testament to the power of social bonds. In the end, the evidence is overwhelming. Smilodon fatalis was not a lone assassin, but a creature of deep social complexity. Its survival depended not just on strength and ferocity, but on cooperation, care, and the enduring ties of kinship. The saber-toothed cat's legacy is not only written in its fearsome fangs, but in the quiet strength of its pride. Imagine a world not of desolation, but of abundance, a living tapestry woven with the thunder of hooves, the bellow of giants, and the silent, lethal grace of Smilodon. The saber-tooth did not stalk a frozen wasteland, but thrived in a lush, ever-changing environment where life pulsed in every corner, and the air itself seemed thick with the scent of opportunity and danger. For nearly 2 million years, Smilodon was the apex predator across the vast continents of North and South America. It was not merely a hunter, but a force of nature, its presence shaping the very fabric of the ecosystem, its shadow cast long over the Pleistocene plains. The landscapes it roamed were astonishingly rich, supporting a biomass of large animals that dwarfs even the most wildlife-dense regions of modern Africa. Herds of colossal herbivores moved in endless migration, their numbers so vast that the ground itself trembled beneath their passage. This was the golden age of megafauna, towering mammoths, mastodons, and ground sloths the size of small trucks grazed alongside ancient bison and camels. For Smilodon, this was a banquet beyond compare, a table set with the flesh of giants. Every aspect of Smilodon's anatomy was a testament to its specialization. Its robust forelimbs, retractable claws, and famously elongated canines were not just weapons, but precision tools evolved to subdue and dispatch prey many times its own size. The diversity of its prey was staggering. Fossilized remains reveal a menu that included not only the massive bison and ground sloths, but also prehistoric horses, camels, and even the young of mammoths and mastodons. Each hunt was a high-stakes contest of strength, strategy, and endurance. The primary targets were the immense herbivores that dominated the landscape. Ancient bison, larger and more formidable than any living today, were frequent victims, their bones bearing the unmistakable marks of saber-tooth predation. Isotope analysis of Smilodon fossils confirms a diet rich in these massive grazers. The ancient bison, with their sweeping horns and muscular frames, presented both a challenge and a reward. A single kill could feed an entire pride for days. The giant ground sloths, some towering over 3 meters when upright, were another formidable quarry. Slow-moving but heavily armored with thick hide and muscle, they required coordinated attacks and immense power to bring down. Prehistoric horses and camels, now extinct in the Americas, were also on the menu. These swift, agile animals demanded patience and cunning, often requiring ambush tactics and teamwork to secure a successful hunt. Even the calves of mammoths and mastodons, protected by their massive mothers and the vigilance of the herd, were not safe from a determined pride. Fossilized bones of young proboscideans bear the telltale punctures of saber-tooth fangs. Social hunting was the linchpin of Smilodon's success. Unlike solitary big cats of today, Smilodon likely operated in coordinated groups, each member playing a specific role, some driving the prey, others lying in ambush, all converging in a final explosive assault. This teamwork enabled them to tackle prey weighing up to 10 times as much as a single cat. The combined force of multiple Smilodon, each using its muscular forelimbs and powerful jaws, could overwhelm even the most formidable herbivores. The hunt was a ballet of chaos and precision. By isolating a single animal from the herd, the pride minimized risk and maximized reward, ensuring the survival of both the group and the next generation of saber-tooths. Picture the scene. A pride of Smilodon, muscles rippling beneath their spotted pelts, surging from the tall grass in a coordinated rush. Some flush the prey, others intercept, and together they grapple the chosen target, their combined weight and ferocity bringing even the largest animals crashing to the earth. After the hunt, the pride would rest, bellies full, surrounded by the very creatures that defined their world. The cycle of predator and prey continued, each species shaping the destiny of the other. For millennia, this delicate balance persisted. The interplay between giant herbivores and their saber-toothed hunters maintained a dynamic, thriving ecosystem, each population regulating the other in a dance as old as life itself. Smilodon was more than a predator, it was a keystone species. Its hunting shaped the migration patterns, population sizes, and even the physical evolution of its prey, sculpting the environment in subtle but profound ways. The mere presence of Smilodon created a landscape of fear. Herbivore herds moved constantly, never lingering long enough to devastate the vegetation, their vigilance a silent tribute to the ever-present threat lurking in the shadows. At the summit of this ancient food web, Smilodon reigned supreme. Its dominance was not just a matter of strength, but of adaptation, intelligence, and the intricate social bonds that allowed it to master a world of giants. The Smilodon's table was a feast of titans, and for millions of years it dined at the very heart of the Pleistocene wilderness. In the heart of what is now Los Angeles, a landscape of shimmering asphalt pools has quietly chronicled the rise and fall of ancient giants for tens of thousands of years. The La Brea tar pits, a geological anomaly, have served as both a lethal trap and a time capsule, preserving the drama of the Pleistocene in exquisite, haunting detail. Beneath the surface, viscous asphalt seeps upward from deep within the earth, forming pools that glisten deceptively in the sunlight. These pools, sometimes masked by a delicate layer of dust, leaves, or rainwater, are silent, patient hunters, waiting for the unwary. Imagine a vast, primeval plain where herds of mammoths and ground sloths roam among stands of ancient trees. A thirsty mastodon, sensing the promise of water, steps forward. Its massive foot breaks the surface tension, plunging into the sticky abyss below. Instantly, the tar clings, gripping tighter with every desperate movement. The animal's struggles send ripples across the surface, its bellows echoing through the ancient woodland. These cries are a beacon, summoning predators, dire wolves, American lions, and above all, the formidable Smilodon fatalis. Drawn by the prospect of an easy kill, they approach, only to find themselves ensnared by the same invisible menace. The tar pit becomes a stage for a relentless cycle of entrapment. Each new arrival, predator or scavenger, adds to the growing tableau of life and death, their bodies layered atop one another, locked in a silent struggle that will last for millennia. Over time, the relentless embrace of asphalt does more than claim its victims. It shields them from the ravages of decay, sealing bones, teeth, and even delicate plant matter in a protective cocoon. Unlike the slow mineralization of typical fossilization, the tar infiltrates every crevice, preserving not just the skeletons, but the very stories written in their bones. The fossil record here is astonishingly rich and skewed. For every massive herbivore, there are 10 or more predators, testament to the deadly allure of the pits. Smilodon fatalis dominates these ranks, its remains numbering in the thousands, each skeleton a data point in the grand narrative of survival and extinction. The bones themselves are a revelation. Some bear the scars of ancient battles, deep gouges, shattered limbs, and, remarkably, signs of healing. These healed injuries suggest a social structure, where wounded animals may have relied on the support of their kin to survive. The tar's preservative power extends beyond bones. Pollen grains, seeds, and fragments of ancient wood are entombed alongside the giants, offering a window into the vanished world they inhabited. Analysis of these botanical relics reveals a temperate, wooded landscape, ideal terrain for ambush predators like Smilodon. The La Brea tar pits are more than a graveyard. They are a living archive, a three-dimensional snapshot of an ecosystem in flux. Here, predator and prey, flora and fauna, are preserved in their final moments, their interactions frozen in time. For scientists, each excavation is an act of resurrection. Articulated skeletons emerge from the tar, their bones gleaming with a dark, ancient sheen. Detailed studies of these remains unlock secrets of growth, aging, disease, and the brutal realities of Pleistocene life. The sheer abundance of fossils allows for unparalleled statistical analysis. Researchers can reconstruct population structures, track evolutionary trends, and even infer the social dynamics of vanished species. In the end, the Brea tar pits offer not just a record of extinction, but a vivid, immersive chronicle of life. Its struggles, its adaptations, and its enduring mysteries, preserved beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed. For nearly 3 million years, the world was a stage of relentless transformation. Vast continents shifted beneath the weight of advancing and retreating glaciers, and the climate oscillated between frigid ice ages and brief temperate interludes. In this ever-changing theatre, Smilodon, one of the most iconic predators, ultimately vanished. Its disappearance around 10,000 years ago was not a solitary tragedy, but part of a sweeping global transformation. This period, known as the Quaternary Extinction event, marked the abrupt loss of most of the planet's largest mammals. The world's ecosystems, once teeming with giants, were suddenly and dramatically altered. In North America, the scale of loss was staggering. 34 genera of megafauna vanished in a geological instant. Saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, short-faced bears, mammoths, mastodons, and the lumbering giant ground sloths, along with native horses and camels, all disappeared forever. The continent was left eerily empty, its once vibrant landscapes now silent, stripped of the colossal creatures that had shaped them for millennia. The primary force long suspected in this mass extinction is climate change, an agent of transformation both subtle and catastrophic. As the last ice age ended roughly 12,000 years ago, the planet experienced a rapid and profound warming. Glaciers that had dominated the landscape for tens of thousands of years melted away, releasing torrents of water and raising sea levels across the globe. Ecosystems everywhere were reshaped. Tundra and steppe gave way to forests, wetlands expanded, and deserts shifted their boundaries. The vast, cool grasslands and open woodlands that had supported immense herds of herbivores began to contract, replaced by dense forests and new plant communities. These forests, thick with undergrowth and unfamiliar species, offered little sustenance for the specialized grazers and browsers that had once thrived. The theory suggests that as these habitats vanished, so too did the food sources for the great predators, Smilodon among them. Large herbivores, unable to adapt to the shrinking and changing environments, perished in great numbers. Their extinction set off a cascade, dooming the highly specialized predators that depended on them. Yet this climate change hypothesis faces a critical challenge. Smilodon and its contemporaries had endured countless cycles of warming and cooling, adapting to shifting climates over hundreds of thousands of years. The end of the last ice age was not an anomaly, but part of a recurring planetary rhythm. Why, then, did this particular transition prove so devastating when previous ones had not? This puzzle has led researchers to propose that climate change, while a powerful force, was only one element in a complex web of extinction pressures. The extinction event was marked by a striking selectivity, with the largest animals suffering the most severe losses. In this world in flux, the interplay of shifting climates, changing vegetation, and the delicate balance of predator and prey created a crucible of survival. Rivers changed course, carving new valleys and leaving old floodplains to dry and crack. Lakes expanded and contracted, sometimes vanishing entirely, while volcanic eruptions blanketed regions in ash, further altering habitats. Plant life responded in waves. Mosses and lichens colonized bare ground, followed by shrubs and eventually towering forests. Each stage brought new opportunities and new challenges for the animals that remained. Smaller creatures, rodents, insects, and birds adapted with remarkable speed, exploiting new niches and surviving where giants could not. Natural disturbances, windstorms, wildfires, and seasonal floods became agents of renewal and destruction, constantly reshaping the land and its inhabitants' fortunes. Even at the microscopic level, change was relentless. Pollen and spores drifted on the wind, colonizing new territories and heralding the arrival of unfamiliar plant species. As permafrost thawed, ancient soils released gases into the atmosphere, subtly altering the climate and feeding back into the cycle of change. Fungi flourished, breaking down fallen giants and recycling their nutrients, fueling the next generation of life in this dynamic, ever-shifting world. In this world in flux, extinction and adaptation were two sides of the same coin. The disappearance of the great beast was not merely an end, but a transformation, one chapter closing as another began in the ceaseless story of life on Earth. Among the most dramatic hypotheses ever proposed for the abrupt end of the Pleistocene epoch is the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a theory that has ignited intense debate and rigorous investigation across the scientific community. This hypothesis posits that nearly 12,900 years ago Earth was struck by a fragmented comet or asteroid, its pieces hurtling through the atmosphere at unimaginable speeds, targeting the vast frozen expanse of the North American ice sheet. As the cometary fragments entered the atmosphere, friction and compression generated temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, causing the objects to disintegrate explosively in midair. The resulting airburst unleashed a shockwave of energy equivalent to thousands of the most powerful nuclear detonations ever conceived by humanity. The detonation vaporized ice, rock, and organic matter in an instant, sending a superheated blast wave racing across the continent. The immediate aftermath was a continent-wide inferno. Forests ignited spontaneously, and the landscape was scoured by hurricane-force winds laden with burning debris. The scale of destruction defies comprehension. Firestorms swept across thousands of kilometers, incinerating entire ecosystems in mere hours. The heat was so intense that soils fused into glassy spherules, and organic matter was reduced to ash, leaving behind a stark, blackened landscape. The environmental consequences were immediate and profound. The infernos released vast quantities of soot and aerosols into the atmosphere, while the impact itself ejected colossal plumes of pulverized rock, water vapor, and nanoscopic debris high above the planet's surface. This atmospheric veil blocked sunlight on a planetary scale, plunging the northern hemisphere into darkness and triggering a rapid, severe drop in global temperatures. The sudden onset of this impact winter reversed the gradual warming trend that had been underway since the last glacial maximum. The geological record preserves this moment with remarkable clarity. Across North America and beyond, a thin, dark layer of sediment, known as the black mat, marks the boundary between two worlds, one teeming with life and one devastated by sudden catastrophe. Within this layer, scientists have identified a suite of materials that can only be produced by extraterrestrial impacts. Microscopic nanodiamonds, formed under pressures and temperatures far beyond those found in terrestrial environments, are scattered throughout the black mat. Elevated concentrations of platinum, an element rare in Earth's crust but abundant in asteroids, further corroborate the impact scenario, as do the presence of iridium and other siderophile elements. Tiny magnetic spherules, perfectly rounded from their molten origins, are found in abundance, their composition and structure matching those produced in high-energy cosmic collisions. This burn layer is a geological fingerprint of disaster, a sudden global event that left an indelible mark in the stratigraphic record. It coincides precisely with the disappearance of megafauna and the collapse of ancient ecosystems. The aftermath was a world transformed. Once vibrant forests were reduced to skeletal remains, and the land was stripped of its protective vegetation, exposing soils to erosion and further ecological collapse. The atmospheric dust and aerosols persisted for years, reflecting sunlight and maintaining frigid conditions. Photosynthesis ground to a halt, food webs unraveled, and the biosphere entered a prolonged period of crisis. Ice core records from Greenland and Antarctica reveal an unmistakable signal, a sudden dramatic cooling event that interrupted the planet's recovery from the last ice age. This period, known as the Younger Dryas, lasted for over a millennium, its onset as abrupt as the impact itself. Glaciers that had been retreating surged forward once more, rivers froze, and vast regions of the northern hemisphere were plunged back into near-glacial conditions. The climate oscillated violently, with temperatures dropping by as much as 10 degrees Celsius in a matter of years. For the megafauna, mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, and the saber-tooth cats, this was an existential crisis. Already stressed by the preceding warming, they now faced a world of perpetual winter, dwindling food supplies, and relentless environmental pressure. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis elegantly unifies a host of seemingly disparate mysteries: the synchronous extinction of dozens of large animal species, the abrupt climate reversal, and the sudden disappearance of entire cultural traditions. The archaeological record shows that the Clovis culture, once widespread across North America, vanishes precisely at the black map boundary, its tools and artifacts abruptly replaced by silence. Unlike previous climate fluctuations, the Younger Dryas stands out for its speed, severity, and global reach. No other event in the late Quaternary matches its destructive power or its lasting impact on the biosphere. The extinction of the megafauna was not a gradual decline, but a rapid, catastrophic collapse. Populations that had endured for millennia vanished within a geological instant, their bones left as silent witnesses to the disaster. For Smilodon, the saber-tooth cat, the impact was an extinction-level event. Its world was incinerated in firestorms, then entombed in ice. Prey animals disappeared, habitats were obliterated, and the delicate balance that had sustained these apex predators was shattered beyond repair. In the aftermath, only traces remained, fossils buried beneath the black mat, a testament to the sudden cosmic violence that ended an age. Though Smilodon vanished from the Earth over 10,000 years ago, its presence lingers, etched into the very fabric of the American wilderness. The forests and plains still whisper of its reign, not in bones or shadows, but in the living legacy of the creatures that survived its era. Smilodon's dominance as an apex predator left a genetic and behavioral imprint on the survivors of the Pleistocene extinction. The evolutionary arms race it ignited is still visible in the anatomy, instincts, and social structures of modern fauna. Herds of bison, pronghorn, and moose move with a vigilance that seems excessive in today's world. Their senses are honed, their reactions swift, remnants of a time when every shadow could conceal a predator with fangs like sabers and a body built for ambush. This phenomenon, known as evolutionary anachronism or the ghost of evolution, reveals itself in the mismatch between modern behaviors and the predators that once shaped them. The saber-tooth's ecological influence echoes through time, a silent architect of survival strategies. Take the pronghorn antelope, a living paradox on the North American plains. With a body engineered for speed, the pronghorn can sustain bursts of nearly 60 miles per hour, far outpacing any predator alive today. Coyotes and pumas, the region's top carnivores, are left in the dust, unable to threaten a healthy adult pronghorn. This extraordinary adaptation is a relic, a solution to a problem that no longer exists. In the absence of a worthy pursuer, the pronghorn's speed appears almost absurd, an evolutionary overcompensation, frozen in time. But the fossil record tells a different story. The pronghorn once shared its world with Miracinonyx, the American cheetah, a predator built for relentless pursuit, now lost to extinction. The pronghorn's muscles, lungs, and heart are the legacy of this vanished adversary. Its speed is an evolutionary echo, a defense mechanism honed against a ghost that no longer stalks the grasslands. Other survivors bear similar scars. Bison and moose, for example, display a suite of anti-predator behaviors that seem almost ritualistic, responses to threats that have not materialized for thousands of years. When danger is sensed, these animals form defensive circles or adopt aggressive stances, bracing for an ambush from the shadows. Their instincts are calibrated for a world where Smilodon's sudden rush could mean life or death. The strategy is precise: group cohesion, vigilance, and explosive response. Each behavior a countermeasure to the saber-tooth's stealth and power. These instincts are passed down through generations, a behavioral inheritance that outlasts the predator itself. The memory of Smilodon is encoded in the very DNA of its former prey. The evolutionary echo extends beyond the animal kingdom. Even the plants of the Americas bear witness to the vanished megafauna. The avocado's massive seed is a puzzle, far too large for any living animal to disperse. Its existence hints at a lost partnership. Paleobotanists believe that giant ground sloths once swallowed these fruits whole, carrying the seeds across vast distances before depositing them in fertile ground. The extinction of these giants left the avocado's dispersal strategy stranded in evolutionary limbo. All around us, the ghosts of the Pleistocene linger. The landscape is haunted by adaptations to threats that no longer exist, by plants and animals shaped by vanished giants. The extinction of Smilodon was not a simple erasure, but a seismic shift that rippled through ecosystems, unraveling ancient relationships and leaving behind a world forever marked by its absence. The evolutionary echoes of the saber-toothed tiger remind us that extinction is not an end, but a transformation, one that continues to shape the living tapestry of the Americas, long after the last saber-tooth faded into the mist. Across the shifting expanse of prehistoric North and South America, Smilodon's hunting strategies were as varied as the landscapes it ruled. In the dense woodlands of the Pleistocene, the saber-tooth stalked in silence, using the tangled undergrowth as a veil. Here, patience was its greatest weapon. Smilodon would melt into the shadows, its striped coat breaking up its outline among dappled sunlight and fallen branches. Prey, ancient deer, tapirs, and horse-like equids, moved cautiously, but even the most vigilant could fall victim to an ambush measured in heartbeats. On the open grasslands, where cover was sparse and herds of bison thundered across the horizon, Smilodon adapted. It relied on the element of surprise and the power of coordinated attack. While not a sprinter like modern lions, Smilodon's muscular build allowed for explosive bursts of speed over short distances. It would wait in the tall grasses, motionless, calculating the perfect moment to strike. The saber-toothed jaws and forelimbs were designed for subduing large prey quickly, clamping down with immense force, targeting the throat or windpipe, ending the chase before the herd could scatter. In the wetlands and river valleys, Smilodon exploited the chaos of seasonal floods and muddy banks. Here, the saber-tooth would lurk at the water's edge, where herds gathered to drink. The soft ground muffled its approach, and the confusion of competing sounds masked its movements. A sudden leap from the shadows, and the hunt was over before it began. Each habitat demanded a unique approach. In the arid scrublands, Smilodon used rocky outcrops to conceal its presence, launching ambushes from above. In the cool forests of the north, it hunted at dusk and dawn, when low light favored its stealth. The saber-tooth was not a solitary opportunist, but a master tactician, adapting its methods to the terrain, the climate, and the behaviors of its prey. Through these ancient hunting grounds, the legacy of Smilodon endures, not just in fossilized bones, but in the imprints left on the land itself. Every ridge, thicket, and waterhole was shaped in part by the relentless pursuit of survival. The saber-tooth's strategies were written into the geography of fear and flight, a testament to its role as the ultimate predator of the Pleistocene. At the margins of ancient waterholes, a silent tension simmered. a crossroads where titans met. Smilodon, the saber-tooth, was never truly alone in its domain. Towering ground sloths lumbered through the reeds, their claws curling as they dug for roots. Nearby, the armored Glyptodon, encased in a living fortress of bone, shuffled with ponderous certainty, indifferent to the saber-tooth's predatory gaze. Mammoths and mastodons, colossal and vigilant, arrived in matriarchal herds, their trunks raised to test the air for threats. Smilodon watched from the shadows, calculating. It knew the difference between a challenge and a certainty. The giant sloths, with their sheer bulk and swinging forelimbs, were formidable, too dangerous except in moments of desperation, or when age and injury slowed them. Even the young were protected by vigilant mothers, ready to rear up and strike. Glyptodon's armored dome was nearly impenetrable. Only the soft underbelly offered hope, and then only if the behemoth was overturned, a feat rare and risky, but the water's edge was a place of necessity. Here, all creatures, predator and prey, were drawn by thirst. Bison and camels clustered in nervous knots, their eyes flicking to the shadows. Occasionally, dire wolves and American lions prowled the periphery, a reminder that Smilodon was not the only hunter in the Pleistocene theatre. These encounters shaped a delicate balance, a standoff measured in wary glances and subtle postures. Sometimes the saber-tooth and its rivals would circle the same weakened prey, tension crackling in the humid air. A pack of dire wolves might harry a wounded horse, only to scatter as Smilodon asserted its dominance with a low, guttural snarl, the language of ancient power. At other times, Smilodon would yield to numbers, slipping away to wait for a better moment, its patience as sharp as its fangs. The megafauna were not merely background to Smilodon's story, they were adversaries, competitors, and at times accidental allies. The trampling herds churned the earth, exposing fresh scents. The scavenging vultures and condors circled overhead, signaling opportunity and risk alike. Every creature, from the smallest rodent to the largest mammoth, was woven into an intricate web of interaction. For Smilodon, survival was more than the hunt. It was a dance with giants, a daily negotiation at the edge of extinction. Its legacy endures in the fossilized footprints pressed side by side with those of sloths, camels, and mastodons, a silent record of prehistoric encounters, written in the mud of vanished waterholes. As the Ice Age waned, the chorus of giants grew quieter. The saber-toothed shadow, once cast long and wide, began to falter. What forces conspired to silence this apex predator? The answer lies not in a single blow, but in a convergence of fates. The climate shifted, subtle at first, then relentless. Glaciers retreated, reshaping the land. Grasslands gave way to forests, the open plains where Smilodon once reigned, shrinking into islands of memory. With each passing season, the great herds dwindled. Mammoths, mastodons, and giant sloths, Smilodon's lifeblood, vanished, their numbers thinned by changing vegetation and harsher droughts. The saber-tooth, specialized for taking down the mighty, found fewer giants to stalk. Competition sharpened. Packs of dire wolves, nimble and numerous, adapted quickly, turning to smaller prey and scavenging with ruthless efficiency. American lions prowled the same fading territories. As the food web frayed, every hunt became a gamble, a test of strength, patience, and luck. Disease may have rippled through the weakened herds, invisible yet devastating. A virus, a parasite, the slow poison of scarcity, any could have tipped the scales. Yet Smilodon's fate was not sealed by hunger alone. Some whisper of catastrophe, an impact from the heavens, a cloud of ash dimming the sun. Others see the slow march of time, the inexorable pulse of evolution favoring those who could change, while the saber-tooth's legacy was rooted in an age slipping away. No single cause, but a tapestry of endings. The saber-tooth's last roar echoed across empty plains, fading into silence as the world it knew unraveled. Only bones remain now, locked in tar and stone, a testament to a predator perfectly adapted, yet ultimately undone by a world that changed too swiftly, too completely. Here, At the edge of extinction, Smilodon's story becomes a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the mightiest are at the mercy of forces beyond their claws. Though Smilodon's reign ended thousands of years ago, its shadow lingers, etched not just in fossil beds, but in the fabric of modern science and imagination. Paleontologists, armed with chisels and patience, continue to unearth secrets from the tar pits and ancient sediments, each bone a silent witness to a vanished age. The saber-tooth's fearsome canines, once instruments of survival, now inspire fierce debates in laboratories and lecture halls. How did it hunt? How did it live? Every discovery rewrites the narrative, reminding us that extinction is never the end of a story, but the beginning of endless questions. In the digital glow of research centers, Smilodon's genome is being pieced together, fragment by ancient fragment. Its DNA, preserved in the marrow of time, offers a bridge between past and present. These genetic clues illuminate the tangled branches of the feline family tree, revealing unexpected kinships and evolutionary detours. Through its remains, scientists refine their understanding of adaptation, resilience, and loss. Beyond the realm of science, Smilodon prowls the wilds of culture and art. Its silhouette, muscular, fanged, unmistakable, adorns museum halls and children's books, stamps and sports mascots. Legends of saber-toothed cats haunt the stories of distant peoples, their memory woven into oral traditions and sacred myths. Even in virtual worlds, Smilodon is resurrected, rendered in pixels and polygons, allowing new generations to marvel at its power and grace. But the saber-tooth's legacy is more than spectacle or curiosity. It is a symbol, a reminder of nature's grandeur and fragility. Its bones whisper caution to a world still in flux, urging respect for the delicate balance upon which all life depends. In stone, in story, in the dreams of those who study the deep past, Smilodon endures. Its legacy is not merely what was lost, but what it continues to teach, that every vanished giant leaves footprints that shape the world forever. Beneath layers of ancient earth, a new era of discovery unfolds. In recent years, advanced imaging and analytical techniques have peeled back the eons, revealing secrets long locked within the bones of Smilodon. High-resolution CT scans glide through fossilized skulls, exposing microscopic stress lines and healed fractures, evidence of fierce battles and remarkable resilience. Isotopic analysis of teeth and bones now maps ancient migrations, tracing the seasonal movements of Smilodon across prehistoric landscapes, from open grasslands to shadowy forests. Deep within the tar pits, paleogenomics has extracted slivers of DNA once thought forever lost. These genetic fragments, decoded by powerful algorithms, have rewritten the saber-tooth family tree, distinguishing subtle differences between populations and even uncovering previously unknown lineages. Proteomic studies, analyzing the ancient proteins preserved in marrow, offer clues to Smilodon's metabolism, hinting at adaptations to cold climates and periods of scarcity. Tiny wear patterns on fossilized teeth reveal not just what Smilodon ate, but how it consumed its prey. Delicate scoring marks tell of flesh sliced with surgical precision, while robust wear suggests a surprising flexibility in diet during harsh times. Pollen grains and plant remains, trapped alongside bones, reconstruct a vanished world of shifting habitats and changing climates, each fragment a silent witness to the challenges Smilodon faced. No human hand disturbs these scenes. Instead, the story emerges in data and detail, each new finding a brushstroke in the ever-evolving portrait of the saber-tooth. As technology advances, so too does our understanding, bringing the lost world of Smilodon into sharper, ever more intricate focus. In the silence beneath the sediment, the saga of the saber-tooth continues to unfold, one discovery at a time. When the last saber-tooth slipped into silence, the reverberations swept far beyond a single species. Smilodon's disappearance was not merely the loss of a predator, but the severing of a vital thread in the ancient tapestry of life. Across the Pleistocene plains, Herds of bison, camels, and horses sensed a shift, a sudden absence in the shadows where danger once lurked. With fewer apex predators to thin the ranks, herbivore populations surged, reshaping the landscape. Grasses, once grazed in measured cycles, now faced relentless pressure, their roots exposed and soils loosened. Dust rose in the wake of countless hooves, drifting on wind currents to settle in distant lakes. In the forests, subtle changes rippled outward. The prey animals, freed from the saber-tooth's ambush, altered their feeding patterns and migration routes. Shrubs and saplings, once trampled in frantic flight or browsed in fear, now flourished in unexpected pockets. Cascading effects reached the smallest denizens. Rodents, insects, and even the seeds carried on fur and in droppings. The absence of Smilodon rewrote the rules of survival, opening niches for new predators, from packs of dire wolves to opportunistic scavengers. Each filled the void in their own way, but none matched the surgical efficiency or ecological role of the saber-tooth. Over time, the balance shifted. Some species thrived in the predator's absence, others faltered, their numbers unchecked or their habitats transformed. The ancient web flexed and strained, adapting to a new reality shaped by a vanished hunter. In this altered world, the memory of Smilodon endured not in bones alone, but in the very structure of ecosystems. Echoes of its presence etched into the growth rings of trees, the composition of soils, and the rhythms of life that followed. The extinction of the saber-tooth was not an end, but a beginning, a catalyst for change that rippled through millennia, shaping the world that would one day become our own. In the quiet spaces where Smilodon once prowled, the legacy of its loss still lingers, woven into the fabric of life left behind. In the crucible of prehistory, survival was a relentless contest of adaptation. Among the Pleistocene's predators, Smilodon was an outlier, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, shaped for a very specific role in nature's grand theatre. Unlike its contemporaries, the dire wolf or the short-faced bear, Smilodon's weapons were not brute strength or stamina, but specialization honed to a razor's edge. Its most iconic feature, the elongated saber-like canines, was more than mere ornament. These blades, fragile yet deadly, could shear through hide and muscle with surgical precision, unlike the conical teeth of true lions or the bone-crushing jaws of hyenas. Smilodon's fangs were adapted for a swift, targeted kill. A single, powerful bite to the throat or belly could end a struggle in moments, minimizing risk to the predator itself. But the saber-tooth's arsenal did not stop at its teeth. Its forelimbs were robust, almost bear-like, with massive muscle attachments and retractable claws built for grappling prey in close quarters. This physique was a stark departure from the more gracile limbs of modern big cats, trading speed for the raw power needed to subdue colossal prey like bison, camels, and ground sloths. Yet, this evolutionary gamble came with costs. Smilodon's jaw gape was extraordinary, nearly twice that of modern lions, allowing those sabers to be wielded effectively, but at the expense of bite force. Where other predators could crush bone, Smilodon was a specialist, relying on precision and timing rather than brute force. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the ancient plains, competitors followed different paths. The dire wolf, with its pack strategies and crushing jaws, targeted smaller, more agile prey. The American lion, sleeker and swifter, relied on pursuit and ambush in open grasslands. Each predator carved out its own niche, shaped by the pressures of climate, prey, and competition. Smilodon's adaptations were not simply responses to its environment, but active players in the evolutionary arms race, a dance of escalation and counter-escalation with the giants of its age. Its prey grew thicker hides, bulkier bodies. Smilodon responded with greater strength and sharper fangs. This dynamic tension sculpted both predator and prey, weaving their fates together in a tapestry of survival. In the end, Smilodon's unique adaptations were both its triumph and its Achilles heel. When the world shifted, when prey vanished and climates changed, specialization became vulnerability. Yet for hundreds of thousands of years, the saber-tooth reigned as a peerless predator, a testament to the creative and unforgiving hand of evolution. Its legacy remains, not just in the fossil record, but in the astonishing diversity of life's solutions to the eternal challenge of survival. Beneath the ancient sun, a Smilodon falls. Its final breath stirs the dust, unnoticed by the scavengers already circling. But this is not the end, merely the beginning of a slow transformation, where flesh and bone surrender to the patient hands of earth and time. Rain falls, pooling around the carcass. Insects and smaller creatures pick at what remains, stripping sinew from bone. The heavy skull, with its still gleaming sabers, settles into the soft mud. Over weeks, months and years, layers of sediment drift down, each grain a silent witness to the passing ages. The once mighty predator is gently buried by the world it once ruled. Water seeps through the soil, carrying minerals that begin to infiltrate the porous bone. Calcium and phosphate leach away, replaced by silica, iron, and other trace elements. The transformation is slow and relentless. Organic matter dissolves, but the shape remains. The saber teeth, delicate and hollow, are filled and reinforced, their deadly edges preserved in stone. Sometimes the Earth's chemistry lends a helping hand. In tar pits, thick asphalt entraps the fallen, sealing them from oxygen and decay. Elsewhere, volcanic ash or river mud does the work, layer upon layer, locking away the bones in a deep embrace. Microbes wage a losing battle against the elements. Only the most resilient traces linger. Centuries pass. The world above changes. Ice sheets advance, forests retreat, and new creatures roam the plains. But below, the Smilodon's bones sleep on, gradually turning to stone. Pressure compacts the sediments, fossilizing the remains in a process that can take tens of thousands of years. The result is a perfect paradox. Death immortalized. Every groove and ridge, every serrated edge of the saber is captured in mineral memory. Sometimes even traces of fur or soft tissue survive, rare and precious clues locked within the rock. In time, shifting earth and erosion will reveal these relics, offering a fleeting glimpse into a vanished world. The fossilized Smilodon emerges, not as a ghost, but as a message, a testament to the inexorable processes that shape both life and death on our planet. In the end, fossilization is not just preservation, but transformation, a final chapter written in stone, echoing the saber-tooth story through the corridors of deep time. Across the Pleistocene landscape, the world is never still. Seasons stretch and contract, driven by the silent rhythm of Earth's orbit and the subtle tilt of its axis. Glaciers wax and wane, their icy tongues reaching down from the north, carving valleys and swallowing forests. Far below, the saber-tooth treads a land in flux, every step echoing the uncertainty of changing times. Grasslands spread in the wake of retreating ice, their golden waves teeming with bison, camels, and mammoths. For a time, prey is plentiful. The Smilodon, apex among predators, stalks the margins of wood and prairie, its keen senses tuned to the shifting patterns of migration. Yet as millennia pass, the climate's pendulum swings again. Warmth returns, then fades. Droughts parch riverbeds, bitter winters drive herds far afield. The abundance that once filled the plains becomes patchwork, herds growing smaller, more elusive. The saber-tooth adapts, but the world's pace quickens. Forests vanish beneath advancing cold, then reappear as warmth pulses back. Each transition redraws the map of survival. New competitors arrive, drawn by the changing climate. Wolves, bears, and eventually strange, upright shadows at the edge of the world. Disease follows in the wake of migration. Prey species dwindle, some vanishing forever. Beneath the surface, permafrost locks away ancient seeds and spores, only to surrender them when the earth warms again. The saber-tooth's fate is written in these cycles. in the delicate balance between feast and famine, shelter and exposure. Some Smilodon populations retreat to shrinking refugees, pockets of stability in a world unraveling at the edges. Others press on, their powerful forms etched against a horizon that grows ever more uncertain. In the end, it is not a single storm or drought that seals the saber-tooth's fate, but the relentless, unpredictable dance of climate. The same forces that shape the world's bounty now reshape its future, leaving behind only bones and shadows. The Smilodon story is inseparable from the restless earth, a predator forged by change and ultimately claimed by it. In the tapestry of the Pleistocene, every creature is a thread, tangled, pulled, and woven by unseen forces. At the center of this living web, the saber-toothed tiger, Smilodon, holds a place both commanding and precarious. It is not alone in its hunt. Around it, dire wolves prowl in disciplined packs, their howls echoing across cold grasslands. Short-faced bears lumber through the shadows, their immense bulk a silent challenge to all who feed at nature's table. In the distance, American lions melt into the dusk, and packs of smaller predators, from coyotes to scavenging birds, circle the edges of every kill. For Smilodon, dominance is never guaranteed. Its massive canines and muscled forelimbs are weapons for close combat designed to take down the largest prey, young mammoths, bison, ground sloths. But every hunt is a gamble. A single misstep, a fractured tooth, a misplaced swipe can mean the difference between feast and famine. When the great cat drags its kill beneath the tangled branches, the scent of blood draws an audience. Vultures spiral overhead. Jackals and ancient hyenas slink between the shadows, waiting for the moment when the saber-tooth, sated or outnumbered, must yield its prize. Yet Smilodon is more than a killer. It is a keystone shaping the fate of herds and the flow of energy through the ecosystem. Its presence keeps prey populations healthy, culling the weak and the sick. The remains of its meals feed a hidden multitude, scavengers, insects, even the roots of ancient trees nourished by what is left behind. In this intricate network, every action ripples outward. A bison lost to Smilodon means more food for wolves, fewer calves for the next season, a new opening in the forest for grass to take root. Competition is fierce, but the balance is delicate. When prey is abundant, predators thrive. When numbers dwindle, the web tightens, and every link grows fragile. Smilodon's power is matched only by its vulnerability to hunger, to injury, to the slow, inexorable shifts of the world it inhabits. Here, in the endless cycle of hunt and hunger, Smilodon is both architect and inheritor of the wild. Its story is written not just in tooth and claw, but in the silent bonds that tie all life together, deep beneath the grass and bone.